All right, some people told me that I need to check this interview out, and it's about Bernie Sanders. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, Kit, why are you covering Bernie Sanders? Don't you know he's a fraud? And I get it. But he's a front card person, and he is doing this Fight the Oligarchy tour with AOC. And it's just, it reminds me so much of 2016 and 2020, but I could see it now with clearer eyes that this is a way to sheep herd people and get people enthusiastic about the Democrat Party and think that they could change things. But it's abundantly clear that there is no talk about replacing Chucky Boy Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, because it's abundantly clear that Democrats don't want to change things. It is rather pathetic that AOC and Bernie are not taking this golden opportunity to say, hey, look, Nancy's got to go. Hakeem Jeffries got to go. Chuck Schumer's got to go. Us supporting Biden was a horrible mistake. Everybody was correct. We now need to fight. But no, what they're saying is we need to resist Trump. And I get it, the whole idea of resisting Trump. But Bernie, you once again managed to screw up what could be a victorious plan. And it sickens me that people are still falling for this charlatan. You can actually challenge the party now, Bernie. Like, this is your golden opportunity. I mean, if there's any remnants of the Justice Democrats' brand new Congress, our revolution, if you actually even believed in one iota of changing the party, this is your time. The party's at its weakest, but oh, wait, you're only good at following orders, because Bernie Sanders decided to storm out of an interview. Now, there's a little bit more to it. I found a longer clip on social media, so I think it's only fair that we do bring this up here. But Bernie, you need to get over yourself. You need to calm down and you need to relax, because Bernie Sanders, he just decided to pick up and leave and then come right back when ABC brought up about AOC taking on Chuck Schumer. This is an opportunity in which you could say, yes, AOC should replace Chuck Schumer. I mean, I'm not a fan of the Democrats, but if I was involved in any kind of political strategy, if Bernie Sanders and AOC were really serious, then yes, this is your opportunity to do this. Case in point, right here. I want to pull up this video here. This is the cowardice of Bernie Sanders. Now, there's only been the 1 minute video clip of him just leaving, but he actually comes back. So let's play it.
The Beltway consultants, very well paid, who are way out of touch with the 32,000 people who are here today.
Ocasio-Cortez's criticism of Schumer has been harsher, fueling speculation she'll challenge him in the Democratic primary when he is up for re-election in 3 years. For his part, Sanders doesn't want to talk about whether or not Schumer should remain the Democratic leader in the Senate. And he got irritated when I asked him about the possibility of AOC running, abruptly getting up to end the interview.
Okay, you're out there with AOC today. Do you see her as a future of the progressive?
We have one of the untold stories of what's going on in current American politics, is that in the House of Representatives, you have dozens and dozens of strong, smart, disciplined, hardworking young people in the Progressive Caucus. And, way back when I first came to the Congress and the House, I helped form the Progressive Caucus. We had 5 people in it at that time. Now they got close to 100. So you got a whole lot of good people. Alexandra is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress, and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now, we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
Well, I asked you, okay, you want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No, it's not nonsense. It is a real legit question. Okay. And it is. And of course, this is ABC News, it's corporate media, but it is a legitimate question. Do you see AOC in the Senate? And I just want to remind everybody that, look, AOC did do a Instagram live stream after the election, asking people how they voted in her district. A lot of her constituents voted for Trump and they voted for her. I had Jose Vega on, and he talked about how AOC does do town halls and meets up with her constituents. So obviously, yes, as much as it pains me to say it, but I got to be honest with my audience here, AOC has, a record of being involved in her community, and she does have a lot of clout on social media. So it is a legit question to ask. Do you see her going into the United States Senate? as much as we are critical of AOC, that is a question that Bernie Sanders should ask. And the thing is, Bernie, you're not the spring chicken anymore. I mean, you had a golden opportunity to start a third party in 2016, and of course, you were asked that way back in at McCormick Place during the People's Summit. I remember that Hardlands Media was there. Myself and Daniel covered that event. And in 2020, that you had a second chance to do something good, and you didn't. This is your third and final chance. Now, you're not going to be running for president. But in regards to maybe rallying the remnants of reforming the Democrats, you could do something. But what do? You get up and leave and say it's a nonsense question. No, it is a real legitimate question. Even though the Democratic Party, its brand is failing, one has to wonder, okay, well, what's the reason why the brand is failing? It's because of the leadership.
No. I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got.
You have to, because you're a politician, Bernie. Let's rewind this.
Of good people. Alexandria is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her joining the Senate?
Right now we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
Well, I asked you.
Okay.
You want to do nonsense? Do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got 32,000 people.
I was just asking you about AOC because she was out there.
Yeah, fine. But I don't want to talk about this. What was the last question?
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier to sit.
Sit out.
I mean, I want to ask you about your future. This is the biggest crowd. You said you ran for president twice. This is the biggest crowd you've ever seen. Are we going to see you run again, or what's your future?
No, right now, I am very proud that the people of the state of Vermont sent me back to the Senate with 63% of the vote. Right now, I'm Vermont senator. That's what I do, and I'm very happy to do it. I am 83 years of age, and I'm tired.
All right. Thanks to Senator Sanders.
But okay, that was it. You're tired. You want to know who's tired? People who fell for your BS the first time. Okay, and it sickens me. It saddens me. It enrages me that all these people are filling up these Bernie Sanders events. All the while, what are you getting? You're getting hopium, copium. That's all what you're getting. This is nothing but hot air and affirmations. And look, I'm all for affirmations. I'm all for manifesting things to come before you, because who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't hope and pray? But the thing is, actions and deeds need to happen. And Bernie Sanders is just rallying people around. And what? Then we shepherd him back into the Democrat Party. But there are questions. There's going to be a time when Bernie Sanders isn't going to be in the Senate, and people are looking at Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and they hold him accountable for the Democrats' failure in 2024. Because you know something? They allowed that senile old goat Joe Biden, who somehow wants to come back into politics, to what can they do? Their stratagems, their tactics, their plans blew up in their face. Their traditional voting bloc that they had left them. So it is not my fault or anybody else's fault that the Democratic brand is failing. And Bernie, you're leaving an interview all the while asking about, well, do you see AOC doing this? And then you sit right back down. See, that's the cowardice of Bernie Sanders, because the Democrats don't have a leader. They don't have a plan. I want to give a huge shout out to Case Study QB. Follow him on Twitter. He's wrongly being censored.
He overthrew Hakeem.
We deserve better than this. And it's not just about Republicans. We need a Democratic Party that fights harder for us, too.
Farts harder or fights harder? Choose which one.
Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez this weekend, drawing massive crowds on their Fighting Oligarchy tour, with over 30,000 people, folks, showing up in Denver, the biggest Sanders event ever. The Wall Street Journal noting the Democrats are finding hope at these rallies, and some lawmakers are adopting the playbook. Let's talk about that with our friend Alencio Johnson, political strategist and former senior advisor for Vice President Harris's presidential campaign. Check out her new book. It's called Flip the Tables. Excited about that, and welcome. Also joining me is former Congressman Joe Crowley, who served as chair of the House Democratic Caucus, so he knows a thing or two about Democrats. It's so good to have you here, sir. So let's start with you, Congressman, because you now have the inside-outside perspective. You were always, one of the things I liked about you as a member, you were always kind of close to the streets, as they say. What are you hearing and picking up out there, both inside the caucus, to the members you still talk to, as well as what you're hearing on the streets? How is this playing?
I think the best word, Michael, is frustration. I do get that sense that people are, where are we? We're floundering. I think that's true. I think that's it's something to be ashamed of. I mean, we got our butts kicked in this election, and we have to find that new leader, or those new leaders. Who, I mean, they could be people who are right here in Washington. It could be Hakeem Jeffries, who I love. I think the world of. But if not him, it'll come. It'll happen. And I think what you're seeing with even Bernie and AOC, the base of the party, to support the left in many respects, they're excited. They see who their people are. Right. But whether or not that's the folks who are going to really bring us forward and be the leaders of the overall party remains to be seen.
I know, and there's 8 minutes of this, but look, here's the thing. I want to keep my audience, and I love all my subscribers. Okay, you don't need to suffer listening to this whole idea of a bunch of pundits who got the election wrong. Okay, and these are pundits. These are people that got the election wrong. They got the election wrong, and I'm going to explain why here. Okay, these are politicians and people who failed and never understood the rage and depression and fear that's in our modern political environment. Okay, we have people right now struggling day in, day out in this country, trying to make ends meet. And it's depressing that these politicians and pundits can't even look outside their ivory tower and wonder, gee, what's wrong? Now, a person who should know better is Bernie Sanders. I mean, you ran on this. You called out the Democrats in 2016 and 2020, but I question the sincerity and the honesty of your statements, because while you're getting up and leaving, you have these same corporate media pundits who say, oh, well, maybe Hakeem Jeffries can do it. Maybe there's a chance. Well, the brand sucks. The product sucks. And you could have fixed it, but you're not doing that, Bernie. And neither is AOC. You got to come to terms with the fact, and again, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. But I will tell the Democrats this one thing, especially to AOC, if you are very serious about trying to reform the party or try and take it back, that means taking on Mama Bear. That means taking on Chucky Boy Schumer. That means taking on Hakeem Jeffries. And it's going to require the key thing and the word that both AOC and Bernie lack, and that's called bravery. You had a chance, really, especially to AOC. You had the chance with Forced to Vote, March for Medicare for All, the 3-day General Strike Summit meeting in 2021. I mean, those were some major things. Yeah, I mean, that was a major opportunity that you let slip from your hands. And I don't care how people feel about Jimmy Dore or anybody else was for Forced to Vote. Forced to Vote was a correct tactic, and Representative Matt Gaetz showed that it was a correct tactic, and he used it effectively and efficiently. And now, Bernie, your legacy is now what? You don't want to talk about it, even though you're doing the Fight the Oligarchy tour? Well, fighting the Oligarchy tour means not only fighting against Trump and Elon Musk, woogie boogie boogie, but it also means taking on your fantastic friends in the DNC. The DNC leadership, the new chair, is all for good billionaires. How can you fight the oligarchy, Bernie, if your own party that you sheep herd people into also support the oligarchy? It's all dog and pony show. Magic. It's like looking at a flea circus and saying, oh, look at the little fleas. Look at the little fleas on the trampoline, and they're on the Ferris wheel. No, they're not doing anything. That's all mechanics. That's not happening at all, period. It's sad and pathetic. It is a huge disappointment. What I call the Fight the Oligarchy tour, it's reminiscent of a snake oil salesman. So get up and leave, Bernie, when you want to get asked a serious question. Get up and leave, because obviously you don't have an answer because you're too afraid.